Hello and welcome to Correro, the big conversation table. I am Godwin Sunday. Well, tonight we will be talking about Nigerian politics, but largely about the 2027 mandate. Who will it be handed over to come 2027? We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll establish the conversation. Please stay with us. And you're welcome back. Well, as Nigeria moves closer to the 2027 general elections, political parties are already dealing with intense internal battles. Defections are reshaping party structures. Aspirants are challenging screening and candidate selection processes, and disagreements over consensus arrangements and primaries are creating fresh tensions within political parties. Now, reports of fears surrounding possible violence in some areas have added another layer to the conversation in preparation for the 2027 elections. As defections are reshaping political alliances, screening exercises are generating controversies, and fears of violence are beginning to emerge in some areas. The big question now is, are Nigerians' political party preparing for a democratic contest or simply preparing for another high stake battle for political power? Well, we will find out all of those angles to the conversation tonight. So, joining me in the studio right now is the person of Kennedy Samuel Nwokwocha, the Southeast Obedient Movement spokesperson, and also the FCT crier for the village. They call themselves the village group, but we'll find out all of that right now. But first, it is a delight to have you join me on Correro. Good evening, Samuel Kennedy.
Good evening. My big opportunity to be in your studio, and I'm the town crier for the village boys.
The village boys movement.
Yes,
Okay,
crier.
that's for
We are village people. So spokesperson for the obedient Southeast and LCT town crier for the village boys movement.
Before we walked into the studio, well, I questioned the fact that you were putting on a tie and a suit, and this doesn't reflect the nativity of the village setting. You want to start from that part of the conversation?
Yes, I couldn't pick up my regalia, while I was trying to get to this studio. Don't worry, you'll be seeing more of us.
Perhaps the village setting has been upgraded into.
No. Don't worry, you'll be seeing more of us. We don't want just to prepare your mind so that when we come here, you don't think that we are
traditional worshippers.
We are masquerade.
All right,
we are masquerade or something.
We would like to see that attire, but let's dive into the conversation for tonight. Nigerian political space. 2027 is just around the corner. Now, INEC has fixed February 20th for the National Assembly and presidential election, with governorship and state elections on March the 6th, 2027. INEC has also urged political parties and candidates and citizens to prepare for a peaceful electoral process. But recent opposition electoral process and their realignments and defections have nevertheless intensified the debate and about whether Nigerian opposition can build a coherent alternative before 2027. Now, let's even begin from that part of the conversation. If you are to assess the generality of Nigerian political space right now, how will you assess it?
Anyway, I think the problem we have in this country is, building an effective, democratic process, one that is rooted in an ideology, like what happens in other claims, especially places who copied this democracy we are practicing today, like America. Like if you go to the US, you will see that parties there are like they're like ethnicity. Like when you talk about the Republican, you talk about the Democratic Party. The members of these parties are there because of the ideology, what they believe the society should be run, how they believe the economy should be run, how they believe their border should be, immigration, tax, everything, how they believe it should be run. So their vision about how a country should be run. So when they belong to that particular political party, it's like a tribe. So you don't see anybody jumping, like somebody is a Republican today and tomorrow he becomes a Demo. It's not that easy. So they are rooted, those are political parties rooted in ideology. But in our own case, it's not like that. It's like a kind of convenience. Whatever political party that we can use to arrive to any destination we want at a particular time, we go to that part. So it's something that is very fluid in this part of the world, which is unfortunate. And the reason is because the people who have been opportune to be in leadership position have refused to build an effective institution, effective democratic process. Thereby, when people belong to a particular political party, they can stay there irrespective of whether they win or lose, right? But what happens is that when people come into power, when a particular political power come into power, they make it difficult for the opposition to thrive. They make it difficult for oppositions to win election. Therefore, when people win in a particular election, and assuming you win a senate in a particular political party and your party is not the one in power, you tend to go to that place because you think in the next election that the party at the federal is going to do everything to make sure they make life, hard for you. So that is why you see this defection, from here to here. And even every attempt to make laws to make sure, to curtail this, jumping from here to the other has not actually worked. And the main problem is that the party in power, refuse to obey the democratic norms. And because of that, political actors, now look for where they will apply their politics, what party is going to be convenient for them. That is why you see them going from this party to the other party. So when they go to this party, if there's a loophole, there's an obstacle there, they go to another party. So that is why, so election is supposed to, democracy is supposed to be a government, of the people, by the people, and for the people. At the center of democracy is the people. The people, when you have a situation where the people does not have the power.
In this instance, you don't think that we are not ready for democracy as a people?
No, we are ready. The people.
Because from 1999 till date, we've had 3 political parties. So far, we've had, at a point in the country, we have almost 100 political parties, 99 in 2019. And also right now, we are looking at 21, 22 political parties contesting in this election. Now, we've seen this cross-carpeting from party A to party B, and it has become like a recurring phenomenon and a common decimal factor in Nigerian body politics. Does this worry you? Are we ready for democracy?
Yeah, we are ready. You know that, the trajectory of Nigeria: First Republic, Second Republic, Third Republic, until the military took almost like 30-something years. You understand, 30-something years before 1999, when we had this democracy we are talking about now. So our democracy is still a work in progress. It's still progressing.
So you're saying that a 26-year-old child is still a work in progress?
Yes, it's a work in progress.
But that 26-year-old child, if you go by the normal 6334 educational system in Nigeria, that child should have been a graduate by now. Yeah, and it's still a work in progress.
The point is that
can a 26-year-old child father, a male father a child?
Yes.
Or can he impregnate a woman?
No. The fact I'm making is...
Okay, please help us.
The fact I'm making is I want us to appreciate our journey, where we're coming from. I think it was within Churchill that said, the more backward you look into history, the more forward you can see. To see where we are coming from. Because every other democracy you're talking about in the world today have actually had their bad time. But the problem, I agree with you, the problem in our own case, having... because those democracies we might talk about actually existed in a primitive era. So we live in era of information, right? Era of technology, era of knowledge. Therefore, we should not take as much time as those other democracies took before they developed. But the problem that we have in this country is that we've not been able to have leaders, leaders that are rooted in ideology, leaders that will come and say, because it is not not only the work of the opposition, it is also the work of the people in power.
We've seen people on this table, sorry to interject, we've seen people on this table say it is a fault of the leaders that keep jumping from party A to party B, hereby creating political uncertainty within the political space. But then the followers, the citizens, also struggle to vote them into office, despite the fact that they've moved from party A to party B. Is it the leaders that are moving or the people that are moving?
Yeah, the point is that what we should get at is why are they moving? Why are these leaders moving?
Regardless of why they are moving, it simply implies that if we say the leaders are moving because of ideological difference, are the people also moving based on the fact that they don't have an ideology?
Yes,
also?
I've been able to establish that right about now, we don't have political ideology. We don't have political parties that is rooted in ideology.
Both the leaders and the citizens.
Yes, but now, when most times in Nigeria, we follow the leaders. We follow the leaders. We follow the leaders because we believed in them, whatever vision they are selling, whatever ideas and how they are going to better the country, better our lot, we follow them. And therefore, whatever party they found themselves, we follow them to that party. That's the difference I made, unlike other places of the world where the political party is larger than life because it's built on ideology. It's just like if I'm somebody who does not believe in, say, abortion, right? If I don't believe in abortion, that I will have a party that does not, whose ideology is rooted on no abortion. I will not just tomorrow morning I go to the one that say let us continue to have. So in our own case, it's fluid. It's fluid in the sense that it's not rooted. So it is the individuals, and unfortunately in this part of the world, in Nigeria, for instance, we don't have what they call an individual candidacy. What is it called now? We don't have individual candidate. That is what it's called, right? So you cannot stand election on your own. You must stand under the platform of a political party. Therefore, these individuals can actually go for any country. So the question was asked, why do they move? In most cases, they are moving because the ruling party, like in our own case, the ruling party is making it difficult. So they get into power. They want to make sure that every opposition does not work. And the thing is that for any democracy to be effective, there must be a place for the opposition, because the work of the opposition is to put the foot of the people in power on fire, is to put them on check, is to make them sit up, to know that if you don't do well, if you don't serve the people, that the people will have an alternative. What? But in this case, the people get into power, like what APC government is doing.
Kennedy, before we get to the APC government, in the light of this conversation, are you justifying defection?
Yes, it depends on why people. It depends on why people are defective. So that is what we should get.
So regardless of why the people are moving with people's,
yes, we should know if
you are justifying.
If somebody is moving, we have to justify why the person is moving. That's why there are many laws now that have been made to say if you want to defect from one party to another, like if you win election in one political platform and they want to defect, there are guidelines now to say except A, B, C, D happens. If that doesn't happen, if you defect, you're going to. I think that was supposed to be tested in the case of River State, the River State lawmakers. It was a clear case that since they have defected, and the law says that unless there is a problem at the national, like the party is having a problem in the national, you can defect with your destiny. But if there is none, you cannot defect. But in the case of River State, we saw a situation where these people actually defected without anything, without their party having any disagreement at the federal level. And somehow, magically, the laws. So there is a level of lawlessness. That's the point I'm making. You cannot build a democracy in a country that is lawless, in a country where law and order is not respected. So when you see people defect from one party A, it's also, aside from what is it that the person is, it's also about lawlessness. You cannot operate democracy in an environment where there is impunity, where there is lawlessness, where the rule of law is not respected. So if the person who wants to defect knows somebody in Nasser, or if it is their party that is in power, the person can actually do whatever they want. So it is this level of impunity, it is this level of our ineffective institutions that makes this thing happen. And therefore, what Nigerians should do is to make sure that we have to start discussions around how to build an institution,
right.
how to build an effective institution.
Before we get to that point of building institutions, because you've spoken largely about the defection. But again, let's travel to the eastern part of Nigeria, and you happen to be the spokesperson for the obedient movement in the eastern part of Nigeria. Now, as the spokesperson, Kennedy, for the southeast, what is the single biggest political concern among voters in the southeastern part of Nigeria, even going into the 2027?
Anyway, there's been a lot of problem, and you will noticed that for a long time it is as though the southeastern Nigeria, has been marginalized, in a lot of ways. And oftentimes when an election comes by, people will always say, what are we voting for? Why do we have to go and vote when, governments seem as though they have, segregated us? But in recent time, there have been a lot of, consciousness among the people southeast to say, when whatever thing that is the problem, you cannot be under the table and be demanding your rights. You have to be on the table. For you to actually be part of whatever that is being shared, you have to be on the table. You don't have to be under the table. And that is why you see that in the even from the time of Goodluck Jonathan to this period, even the last election, you see that the Southeast people came out. And another thing is, when people vote don't count, when people come do whatever they can do, spend their distance, and their vote don't count, it becomes a problem. It becomes a problem because they. Let me make this point. Let me make this point.
Go ahead.
When people's vote don't count, when people come and vote in an election, and at the end of the what they voted for is not reflected, I don't think in the next election that the person will be so eager, you understand, to vote again.
Well, Kennedy, point well stated. There is a narrative that says the southeast of eastern part of Nigeria, the eastern region, is not ready for the 2027 election. You happen to be the spokesperson for the obedient movement, and you've seen a lot even in the southeastern part of Nigeria. How correct is this narrative that the southeast is not ready based on the figures of registered voters that we're seeing right now in the southeast?
Anyway, whatever, there is a lot of meat that's been thrown around, we are not ready and not the rest of them. The last election actually put a hold to such narrative because he saw the way we came out in mass. One thing about...
You mean Anambra State election or which of the elections?
No, I mean the 2023...
okay, because I thought we were to go by the Anambra record. I wanted to give you the charts.
No, if you watch...
People that registered voters and people that came out to vote actually in Anambra State.
There are factors to that. Look, take, for instance, the 2023 election, how our people, came out in mass and vote. But the problem is that when their vote is not reflected, because I was around, the last election, I played a part in that election. I went almost everywhere in the southeast and other places of the country, and I saw that in the southeast, there is something that has been happening. I met a woman who is from the north, and when they were doing voter registration and all the rest of them, and I was discussing with her how difficult it is to get voters card in the south. It's even in the south. It's very difficult. Most times you go to a particular place and register, and after this they will not ask you to go to one other local. Even when I was in Port, I had the experience. I registered in a particular place. I had to go to one other local government to collect my PVC and all that, and I went there like up to 5 times. At some point, I got frustrated. So when people have this kind of difficulties in the northern part of the country, it's not like that. Even in the north, one community leader can actually be the person, after everybody has gone home to register, you be the person that will collect the PVC for everybody, and during the election, they will just distribute it. But in the south, it doesn't happen like that. They make sure that, a lot of people don't really understand what is going on in this country. Strategically, there is a way they manipulate this thing to make sure that certain part of the places, certain demographics don't get their PVC when they're supposed to get.
You have facts to back.
No, these things happen. Remember,
but there are no facts.
No, listen. Remember during the time of Jonathan's government in 2015, when Jonathan was running an election. Do you know why the election was actually postponed for 2 weeks? Because we saw a situation where places in Borno State where that was at the peak of Boko Haram, a lot of people have actually been displaced. A lot of them were living in IDP, and somehow magically, you are seeing 90% collection of PVC, 80% of PVC. Then you now come to the south and the south. You are seeing 30% collection, 40%. And I'm telling you, as somebody who has lived in the south, it's not like people don't want to. People were actually going to get their PVC. It was difficult, and even when they register, they go to INEC office. They will tell them, "Oh, come today, come tomorrow." And an average Southeastern is a business person. He goes there, he leaves his office, goes there one day, he's not getting it. Go there the second day, he spend one. The next day, you now ask himself, even this vote I want to vote, what am I getting from it? So there's a lot. There's a lot of there's a word for it that goes on in this contradictions that goes on in this country that we should begin to correct. It's not supposed to be so difficult for somebody who wants to vote to be able to go. We live in an information like technology and all the rest of them. PVC is something you're supposed to come out, use your phone, get PVC, go to the next office and collect. It's not supposed to be something that would take you. Now, I just did a transfer.
But is the problem the PVC or the screening process of the candidates? Because we've seen a lot of candidates that have been dissatisfied, even from the East. And as such, they have said they will not going to participate in anything called electionary process in Nigeria. Is it that the political party structures in the East is not even accelerating this process?
No, so the point we made is clear that the Southeasterners are actually coming out. They are going to vote. But I also tried to tell you some of the difficulties that we see in the southern part of the country, that it's not just like that, like you're a journalist, like maybe if you've not actually thought about it before now, right? Just from today, just have an open mind and talk to people around and see how easy it is to collect PVC in one part of the country and how difficult it is to collect in other part of the country. I also talk about voter apathy, and when people feel that their vote is not counted. So when your vote is not it's not reflected, people will not be so eager to vote. Then you talk about screening process and all the rest of them. There's something that just happened. I don't know whether you're going to get to that place like NDC. My principal, His Excellency Peter Obi, the former governor of Anambra State, is a man. It's my principal. It's a man I follow. You discover that he is actually in NDC now. So all of us are in NDC. I thought when you are talking about going from one party to another, whether you want to make him escape.
No, I won't bring Peter Obi into the conversation.
I would have no problem. People talk about it a lot. Oh, he went to this party, but anyway, there is reasons for that. But since that is not what I'm talking about now, what happened in the process? Right now, a lot of people, especially in NDC, a lot of people are not happy. Just a few days ago, there was a committee that was set up, a national committee, the reconciliation committee that was set up to actually go talk to some of these, candidates. A lot of people came in. I have a lot of friends that came in from the US, from France, from UK, to come and participate. And somehow a lot of them, didn't get the tickets for one reason or the other. And some of them now are not happy, and I can understand why they are not happy. So there's a national reconciliation. Even
though a lot of people have tied the whole chaos, since you've taken us to NDC, a lot of persons have tied the chaos even happening in the NDC to the obedience movement, and also largely to the village boys movement, that they are problematic, and as such, they are trying to destabilize the party internal structure. You are a spokesperson for the party. Help us even react to this. Is the village boys movement a disruptive mechanism in order to destabilize the NDC?
Anyway, there is some of these narrations are actually coming from the ruling party. They're trying to weave. I think it was Waterstock that said what a tangle web they weave when first they practice to deceit. The obedient, when people talk about the obedient people, are Nigerians, everyday Nigerians who in 2019, starting from 2019, felt there was a need, for them to have a say in what happened in their government, as the government was drifting, towards anarchy. So, and they saw the person to express that vision in P2B, and since then that movement took a life, of its own, and P2B is the person that epitomizes that vision. So the obedient movement are just ordinary Nigerians, and for a long time, the ordinary Nigerians of this country have not had a say in what happens in their country. And because of information technology, social media, and all the rest of them, they can now vent their they can now vent their voice, they can now vent their vision for the country, and they cannot speak up. And because these leaders who have been in position for a long time they don't want to hear the voices of the ordinary people, and therefore they label them. Before they said they 4 people tweeting in a room, and before they're so obedient. And I was part. I'm going to. I was part of the election in 2023. We marched. There was a march. The 1 million man march. That was everywhere in the country. I was part of it. We are part of the organizers. We marched on every street in every local government, every state in this country. And as we are marching, we had a team that even if you threw a chewing gum and throw the distance, that you should sweep it. Every street that will march, we'll make sure that we'll clean it up and all. We are so organized in such a way. Yes, some of us we are very vocal. Some people we are very. And what is that vocal? There was nobody that obedient individual, obedient movement insulted that never came to us first. There's no anybody that woke up and say, "Oh, you are no nobody." But the thing is that when an elder throws an insult or somebody comes and throws an insult on social media and somebody replies, "Oh, obedient." But in Lagos, we saw in Lagos. I was in Lagos. Some of us were stabbed. You are an election day. Some of us were stabbed. Some of us were beaten when we went for campaign. A Lagos campaign, when we went to march, there are places they will say you cannot come to this place. Our cars were broken. In short, the day we did rally in Lagos, our DJ that was coming was beaten. His DJ instrument was destroyed. The car that he screamed, he was stabbed more than 5 places. On election day, you saw a lady that was stabbed, and she went home, treated herself, and so these things happen. We had a presidential candidate in this country that said, "Oh, the power is not served a la carte. You have to grab it and run with it." And at the election they did. Choma Chukwuka, these things I'm saying, I'm not saying in isolation. Choma Chukwuka is somebody I will know very well, one of Nigeria's biggest, acts we have in this country. She was beaten on election. A lot of people like that were beaten. And people talk about, "Oh, obedience," because you tell me, "Oh, you're an idiot." And I say, "Oh, you're an idiot too." That the one I replied to is the one that you are going to. Now, you're not talking about NDC. The obedience we are not like a political party. I told you that obedience. Even most times you see obedience everywhere. Remember, the governor of Benue State that was saying, "Oh, even my children." Then he was not even in labor. He said, "Oh, even my children are obedient." A lot of people have come to, "Oh, my children are obedient," and not the rest of them. In NDC, yes, there have been a lot of because now if I have a candidate, I have friends, right? I want this person to pick up ticket, and the person didn't. Naturally, I will react to it and say, "Oh, why these things happen?" Disagreement happens.
Invariably, you're saying that the obedient movement is not a disruptive.
No.
And it's not a violent group.
Yes. I'm not taking out the fact that most times there are disagreements. Right, and even in family that those things are something that
let's move away from that conversation. Let's go to another part of the conversation, which has to do with with violence so far that have come with various election cycles in the country. Right now, we've seen what is playing out in Osun State, where quite a few persons. Just a report came in this morning, said 2 persons were killed in Elisha local government area early hours of this morning. And prior to that time, we've had pockets of crimes and a lot of vandalism going on in Osun State. Now, Obedient Movement, which is a peaceful organization, has not spoken up in this regard or condemned the act that is going on even in Osun State. Can we say that the Obedient Movement is strictly for national interest and also strictly for Peter Obi and turn blind eye against every other violence in the country? That's on one hand. On the other hand, report has it that Peter Obi has been expelled from the Obedient Movement alongside Tanko, and of course Aisha Yusuf was not a member of the Obedient Movement. But help us understand this through conversation. Has Peter Obi been expelled from the Obedient Movement?
There's nothing. There was a clown that came out one time. I think he was Dr. Avutu Johnson the First. I think he was the person who actually started clowning himself. The point is that I know that man. I know him very well, and if he's watching now, he knows me very well. He said he had an obedient movement. Obedient movement did not start in 2023. It did not even start in 2022. Obedient started in 2019 when Atiku and Peter Obi was going to run, and people were strategizing what is going to be the jingle and all the rest of them. And you now hear, you hear the articulated. You now hear people say, "I'm obediently articulated." It is from there that the obedient became so, because Peter Obi was going to run with Atiku, and when I say, "Oh, obediently articulated," so it was the people who followed Peter Obi that metamorphosed into what we call the Obedient Movement. Then you had the NSAS and all the rest of them. That is how the Obedient. It was an organic movement that came to say, because of what Peter Obi represents, because of what he has, what his life, public and private life has been. We now say, "Oh, this man, at least for now, we don't see any other person that has a better vision to rule this country than this man. We followed him, voted with him an article. The election, I believe they won in 2019, it was stolen, and 2023, I believe he won, it was stolen. So the Obidem movement have no, Peter Obi is the person, is the without Peter Obi, there is no Obidem. The movement was actually built around him. Now you've had other, like the village boys. You know how the village boys came as a result of people came, coming to say, oh, they are city boys for Ashiwaju, and you saw a lot of our people, coming to tell us, share rice and share spaghetti, and felt that that is the way to deceive our people. Now said, okay, elections are not won in the cities, elections are won in the grassroots, and it is the village people, the people in the rural community that actually win, because they are the ones who knows where the polling units are, not the rest of them. We are the village boys, and we say, okay, since you guys are the city boys, we are the village. So that's how the village boy took a life of his own. You also hear about the OK movement and not the rest of them. And it's a human organization. Oftentimes there will be a kind of, as we try to blend, how do we work strategically? How do we work?
The movement is silent when it has to do with
silent
or subnational.
We are speaking. Some of us, like a lot of us, are fans of David. If you go to my handle, both my Twitter handle, both everywhere, even Peter Obi, you understand, it's also speaking about if you go, even before I came out today, I actually was talking about what is in short. I was going to make a video either this night or tomorrow to say that all opposition party, you understand, should actually stand up. In short, for me, on my own, I would say all the opposition party should actually move into Osun State, because what APC is trying to do in Osun State is a test run of what they want to do in the Netherlands.
You can't largely accuse. You can't categorically say that it is what APC is doing.
Brother, see,
we cannot categorically.
There's an adage in my place. There's an adage in my place that said, what one wears in the hand, when you wear a bangle, you understand, you don't need mirror. When it is what you wear, like my pants now. You might be asking me what color I do, but if I wear a bangle, you don't need to ask me what color, because you're seeing it. What is happening is that the party in power is so much afraid of his shadows that the only way he feels, or they feel that they can win an election, is to manipulate the system, is to intimidate, is to make sure that the opposition we don't have free and fair election. And you ask me, why is it that people don't come out? The reason, now we are trying to talk to Nigerians that the reason why they are doing all these things, because they don't want, when you say, oh, I'm not going to come out because my vote, that is what they want you to do. So we have to come out. Ordinarily, people are tired. How do you go and vote in an election and your vote will not be reflected? See, I support Peter Obi, right? But I don't support Peter Obi that if Peter Obi goes to an election that is free and fair and fails, that I'm going to say you must win. If Peter Obi goes to contest in a free and fair, all of us will go home and say, okay, where did we get it wrong? But I will not accept it if we go to an election and the election, the level play is not, we don't have a level playing ground, and the election is manipulated and it's rigged or is being taken and run with it. We are not, what happened in 2023 was like, okay, that one happened, it's not going to happen again. So what is happening, let us be frank to ourselves. It's not happening as a solution. We have a situation where the man in Osun State is a very popular person. I schooled in Ife, great Ife. That's where I did my first degree there, read history and international relations, did my master's in international. In that sense, in short, my friend here is also, graduated from that same school. So we know the politics of Osun State. The people of Osun love their delegates so well because they have contributed to the development of that state. And even before the man came, right, the person, what's his name, that was there before, did a very poor job. So the fact that you see violence, you see that man, Ademola is not a violent person, somebody who dances, is always happy, want to make, everywhere you see him, the man is happy and not the rest of them. So how do we now have just this election, we are hearing people being killed, we are here, his supporters being taken, being arrested and not the rest of them. Because APC does not have anything to campaign. It does not, and because Bola Ahmed Tinubu lost Osun State in last election. And he also lost Lagos. So somehow in his mind, he was like, oh, I don't have to lose Osun State again. Because some people have said he came from Osun State, some people say he came from Lagos. We don't know which particular state. But for the purpose of argument, let's just even say he came from Osun State. So he does not want to win.
Let's say he come from Lagos. He came from Lagos State.
For the purpose
of the argument, let's just say he come from
Lagos.
There was
a senator, I don't know what a senator. In the Senate, a senator was saying, this man came from my place, I want to do this. And the Senate president said, no, how can you say? So even at the level of Senate, Nigerian Senate, they are discussing where the man came from. The man who was the governor of Osun State before, they said it's his cousin. So It's a confusion, it's a contradiction, and I don't even know why we should even have this kind of contradiction for somebody who is our president. But let's just leave this thing for another day. The point I'm trying to make is that Osun State is having the problem, the violence you're seeing there today, because the APC government does not want free and fair election, and the only way they can, remember, that man won election in, was it in 2019? 2019. He won the election. I was in Osun State then. He won. And somehow they had to suspend, like this is local government, as you know, since local government, they could not declare. They now came again and they were able to manipulate it. The man came again and won. And he's going to win in this election. But the only thing they are doing is to make sure that they manipulate the system. They use INEC, they use police, they use tout and everything. But the Nigerian people should stand up, because we don't have any other country than this one. Nigerian people should stand up and resist, because if we don't resist these people, they will destroy this country as we know it. To wake up one day and this country is no longer there. Democracy is, you know, people say it's not the most fantastic. I don't even know. There's no idea. There's no government this thing that is the best. But at least for all we know, the one we can wrap our head around is this democracy that we have now. So it's a work in progress. But the beauty of democracy is periodic election. That people can go and contest election, Kennedy, and the people. Let me make this point. Right, that people will vote in an election, and their vote will count. That is the beauty of democracy, to have the opportunity to be able to say, okay, you have not done well, we are going to vote you out, or you've done well, we are going to vote
Kennedy,
you in.
Point well noted. You said the obedient movement does not fear violence.
We don't.
And it's a peaceful organization. Yes. But
we are very vociferous.
When it has to do with being vocal, the obedient movement tend to stir up a lot of conversation, even on social media. A lot of conversation and controversial conversation. Recently, the obedient movement came out and said that, members of your obedient movement came out and said that the whole screening exercise for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was not something to write home about, that it was a faulty screening exercise. Now that is worrisome. And this is just pointing to one direction among other things that have been said. Now, if this inciting comments keep going on and keep coming from the obedient movement, is this just being vocal or trying to create some form of rancor in the system if you say the organization is not a troublesome organization?
Anyway, we are being vocal on issues that matter, on issues that other people don't want to talk about, or people want to gloss over it. We throw light to it and we stand on it and say, no, this cannot happen. You talk about the screening, like, let me be frank with you. You see, since 2015 that APC came into being, there are days I wake up with shock, like I'm quaking, like I wake up with shock in my body each time I remember that APC is still in power. Seriously, I say this to everybody I meet and all the rest of. Today I still share that shock. So when Jonathan lost election in 2015, I cried for like 2 days, because I know what was going to, because it's just like Buhari that came to rule. I've read, because then I've read so much about Buhari, and I've read a lot of expose by people like Professor Wole Soyinka. What he said, in short, in 2011, Professor Wole Soyinka said that for Buhari to come and say that we should vote him, that it's an insult for Buhari to come and say we should vote him as president. And for us to go and vote Buhari, it's like eating our vomit. It's like eating our vomit. And he says such a man is not even supposed to do, don't have the moral right. But somehow we voted Buhari into people. Somehow they rigged themselves in, and he became the president. And people say, oh, the people question, where is your school certificate? Where did you graduate from, and all the rest of them? People say even if Buhari brings pepper cement or akara, whatever, NEPA bill, that they were going to vote, and they voted him. We saw where that man landed. So much so that even the APC government that brought him, they are saying that he destroyed the economy. They are saying he destroyed the economy. Tinubu government is saying that they are trying to repair what Buhari destroyed. But this is what the people they brought to us and say. Now, you talk about a situation where you have a president since 1999, in 2000, when he was a Senate, when he went to Senate, when he was governor of Lagos State. He presented a paper, said he went to government college. People came and said, no, he did not go to that school. When he was governor of Lagos State, the papers he presented was forged paper, whether it's his secondary school, whether it's his primary school, whether it's even the university, because then he had said he went to University of Chicago. And when people now came and said, no, he now said, oh, it is Chicago State University, he now changed. What about secondary school? People that say, no, you did not go to that primary school. The secondary school he talked about, he said, that school was not established until 1974, and he said he graduated in that school in 1970. So we now saw a man whose credentials have been questioned. Right now, in this election, he has presented that. Look at what he presented to INEC. He presented this to INEC that he went to University of Chicago, Chicago State University. There was no primary school, there was no secondary school. So how did a man who did not go to primary school, who did not go to secondary school, now eventually became a graduate? The question is, let's even assume for the purpose, because I think it was Festus Keyamo that had made the argument that this man homeschooled, that he did not go to primary school, he read at. If you read at home, you should be able to say you read at home, this or this, you read at home. If there's any other process that made you to, you should be able to present it as this is. I know that in Nigeria, to become a president, what they say if you can read and write. So if it's read and write, you would have come and say, I can read and write, therefore I'm qualified. But immediately you present a document, you have opened the road for people to now ask you questions. So we live a fraud, like we allow criminality to continue in this country. And people ask, why is country not working? There is no country that can develop without law and order. You see, these things, you know, people can say, want to build skyscraper, want to build super highway, want to build schools. No, you cannot build those things in a place if there is no law. Law and order is the foundation upon which societies are built. Because I was discussing with somebody, I said, as powerful as Trump, even if the least judge give a judgment, Trump cannot disobey it. It's like the president of Nigeria is the most powerful president in the world. He's the judge, he's the police, he's the army, he's the judiciary, he's the Senate. Everything is him. So anything he takes to the Senate, they pass him. Anything he gets to the judiciary, they give him the judgment that he wants. No country can survive like that. We can only survive when we have leadership that is responsible and responsive. And when you have a fraud like this is what he presented. This thing is something that he presented. He presented this thing and said he went to this second. This is from the time he was governor, he contested for governor. From the time he contested as Senate, he filled these things. Today, those things are missing. It's no longer here. The question people are asking, where is this one? Where is it now? And if it's not here, the law says if somebody has presented a fraud certificate, that the person is not supposed to be qualified to run for any office again. So we're asking Bola Ahmed Tinubu and APC, how did you graduate from Chicago State University without having secondary school, a primary school, and not dress? So if our leader, we don't know his name, there is confusion about his name. Is it Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Is it Ogunlere? Is it Yekini? People say Yekini Ogunlere. People say Bola Ahmed Tinubu. People say so nobody knows his real name.
His official name is Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
No. People are calling now. People say he's from Osun State. People say he's from Lagos State. People say that's what I'm saying. There are certificates that he has presented in the time past. This Joe, what is the name of this guy that is late now? Joe something, that one civil rights activist like Joe, I've forgotten the name of that man. He did an expose, you know, the whole book about Bola Ahmed Tinubu, tracing his route from Osun State and but the point I'm trying to make is that the names he presented, this school, the information he presented.
So when the obedient movement bring all of these documents out, it's not to incite the.
We are not the one that he brought himself. You know, if Bola Ahmed Tinubu had stayed in Bodilon, stayed in his house and a chieftain, has even become Oba of Lagos or Oba of Osun State, whatever Oba he wants to become, nobody will talk. But if he presents himself and say he wants to lead us, then we should be able to ask him questions based on the document that he has presented. And this is the foundation, because you cannot talk about your building super highway. You cannot talk about when the Bible says, I'm a Christian, the Bible says when the foundation is not right, the people pay. You cannot build something on nothing. You must build something. So you cannot say, I want to fight corruption when your corruption, in short, you cannot fight. In short, I'm saying that APC government is insecurity. APC government is poverty. If you remove APC government today in Nigeria, take this from me, I want to repeat it. If you remove APC government today in Nigeria, you will have solved insecurity by 50%. If you just say this government, if you were able to vote them out, you have solved it. I'm telling you, you know why? The APC government is insecurity. It's insecurity. APC government is fraud. I'm not making an allegation.
We can't substantiate.
No. Please, and journalists,
it's a strong allegation to make.
Journalists in this country are the fourth realm of our democracy. So you guys have a stake. So you guys are not just people who are working in isolation. You guys, after you have the executive, you have the judiciary, you have the legislator. The fourth one is the first estate of the realm. So you guys occupy a very sensitive position, and that position is for you to be able to speak to the conscience of the nation, is to be able to bring truth at all times. It is the responsibility of the journalist to bring truth. So when we come with this is not an allegation that Bola Ahmed Tinubu presented a document to INEC of a university that does not have primary school and secondary school, a document that does not have. It's not an allegation that I'm making. It's not me trying to bash him. It is me speaking to the issue, to the document that he has presented to INEC. Well, and I'm saying that is the burn of our problem. Well, we cannot talk about development, fighting corruption, being transparent.
Kennedy,
when we have leaders that are too corrupt.
Kennedy, Samuel, if we allow you to go on and on, I know we will not leave this studio.
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
If I allow you to go on and on, I know we will not leave this issue.
Mind-boggling.
Well, permit me at this point to tag this issue, the part one of the conversation, if that's okay by you. Because we'll definitely bring you back to have a continuation, because I'm missing that our time is already fast spent. Wow, what a day. Well, it's on this one I want to say thank you so much, Kennedy Samuel, for finding out time to be with us.
I want Nigerians who are watching to
we'll bring you back out to talk about this document, because we have not even perused the documents all the documents that you have.
I'll make them available.
When you make it available, we'll continue.
We'll make it available to you, because it's important that journalists actually take the
we'll take the conversation up from there. So this is what I want to say once again. Thank you so much, Kennedy Samuel.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's always a pleasure to be here. And by the way, I love your studio, love what you guys are doing here. Keep it up, and wishing you the best.
It's a village meeting, by the way, so I think we just finished a village.
I mean, perhaps that's what I was shouting. I get into my village mood.
No, you got into the village mood. We prefer the native the next time you come.
Don't worry, I'm going to come here with my raffia cap and all the rest of them. In short, my village headmaster will not be happy watching me that I'm not wearing my this. They will not be happy watching. But next time we're going to do that.
And so it is. We are happy that you're properly dressed, by the way. But thank you so much once again. Well, viewers, this is how far we can go on the show tonight. Do not forget that you can leave your thoughts, you can leave your comments on our various social media handle currently showing on your screen. And you can also follow us on by downloading the free TV app from your Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. I am Godwin Sunday. Always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Do enjoy the rest of your night rest. Bye for now.